In 2025, I had a really fun idea for how to do a trick list. I came up with the idea that I would try to learn to do all of the tricks in uh, Fabiana Delfino's Pinball Wizard Quarterpipe session, which you can see still of here. Watch the video on YouTube. It's like a Santa Cruz ad for this kind of cruiser type skate deck. It's a pretty cool deck. So it's got these 12 quarterpipe tricks. It's at this really iconic DIY location, quarterpipe built up on a Jersey barrier just in view of the downtown Los Angeles skyline. And of course, there's some really cool style points in Fabiana's different tricks that she's doing. We can see a picture here. This is pivot to fakie, right, with the skyline in the background, and you have this shot of just right at that moment in the pivot to fakie when shoulders are fully rotated. Very cool looking. So here's the 12 tricks. Again, they're all in this really cool location. Sort of a mellow Jersey barrier quarterpipe, but like check this one out. This is a frontside lip slide with a train coming by in the background. So check out this video. It's really cool. So here's a list of tricks. Front Smith, front feeble, feeble to fakie, pivot to fakie. Kind of go through them all. I guess what I want to say here is I kind of knew how to do most of these tricks. Only 5 of them I couldn't do in the beginning of 2025. So feeble to fakie I used to be able to do, but I hurt myself and I sort of lost it. Pivot to fakie, never done in my life. Backside nose pick on a quarterpipe, never done in my life. Same for front nose grind. And back nollie disaster revert, I never done. I also, though, feel like even in early 25, if I had just hucked that, I probably would have been able to do it. So I wasn't real worried about that one. So not that many tricks to learn, but it actually took me most of the year to do this. And so these are the 4 that I thought would be the most difficult: the feeble to fakie, pivot to fakie, back nose pick, and front nose scratch. And they were actually fairly difficult, though the top 2, feeble to fakie and back nose pick, were easier than I expected to learn. So this was my challenge in 2025. I wanted to learn, first goal was just learn all 12 of those tricks on any transition obstacle at all. And I succeeded at that. And then second was to learn all 12 of them on my 2-foot concrete driveway quarterpipe, which is sort of DIY, sort of crusty. Not quite at the level of the one Fabiana did it on, but okay. And then what I really wanted to do was get all of them on some really nice, crusty DIY obstacles around where I live. And I started that, but honestly not finished. So that's a failure for the 2025 challenge. Maybe I'll do it in 2026. I also want to try to emulate some of the style points whenever possible, and I feel like I'm making good progress on that. And then making some nice videos with decent camera angles is also not super successful. I'll show you some videos in a second. Let me go back a couple slides here. I'll show you the style point that I think is the coolest. So if you go down to the 8th trick in the list, it's a back Smith stall, which is right here. So it looks pretty cool, kind of toed out, like you're supposed to toe out a back Smith, right? But the thing that's so cool about this, if you watch it, is in addition to having this nice tweak on it, she kind of pops out. It's almost a back Smith to tail. I'm not sure if it's actually slapping the tail or not, but it looks like it kind of wants to. And that's a really cool style point that I've been trying to learn and improve on. So let me show you kind of how this went. I have this spreadsheet I made for my 2025 trick list. And it wasn't until about, January 18th when I got back making some progress on feeble to fakie, when I really had the idea that I would do this cover, so to speak, of the Pinball Wizard quarterpipe session. So on January 18th of 2025, I started making some feeble to fakie on a really baby quarter pipe that I have in my driveway. And then I filmed that on the 25th of January. And then about a week or so later on the 6th of February, I started to get it on my slightly bigger 2-foot tall quarter pipe. And that's when I really knew that I was going to kind of go for this big trick list. So let me show you those 2 days, January 25th and February 6th, real quick. So here's January 25th. I'm kind of just going through the tricks from this list that I know on whatever obstacle I can do them on. So here's the 2-foot quarter pipe in blue and green, and then this small baby one, which is only about a foot tall, next to it. And so yeah, back tail is one of the tricks in the trick list, and that one, yeah, I feel like I'm not very good at that, but I can always kind of do it if I put my mind to it. Then we keep going, and front rock, had that for a while. That is one of the tricks, and it can look really cool on a nice obstacle. This obstacle is so mellow that it kind of doesn't really look that cool, but whatever. It's part of the list. Can't really do a front lip side on such a narrow quarter pipe, but okay, I'm just doing front side disaster here. I'll take that on this type of obstacle. Front feeble, I actually really love that trick. And I think it's being forced to do it for this trick list has made me really, really love it. I would rate it as one of my favorite tricks. Front Smith, this is one of those where Fabiana's style points on that trick are really amazing. The way she does that in the Pinball Wizard session is super cool, just kind of gently laying it down. Let me go back. Let's go back there. Feeble to fakie on the baby quarter pipe. That was kind of a big deal to me, again, because I had lost that trick due to an injury. Yeah, so let's move on then and see if I can get the feeble to fakie on the bigger quarter pipe in this next video on February 6th. Okay, so just run through the trick list again, but this time I'm going to do the feeble to fakie on the 2-foot quarter pipe. Front Smith stall, I don't like the style on that one. Again, Fabiana does it where she's super gentle, where she just gently rides up and places it down. I think that looks really cool. Oh, that was a failure. Fail front feeble. So now I'm going to start over, I guess. Front Smith, I mean, you don't want to ollie into it. That actually just looks weird. But okay, I mean, this was the very beginning of the year. I think I've gotten a little bit better at it. Feeble. So that's a pretty nice feeble to fakie. I was really happy to have learned that, and again, it really motivated me to just go for the full trick list. And I would say feeble to fakie right now is one of my favorite go-to tricks, and I can do it on some much bigger obstacles at some much cooler places. I'll post some videos of that coming up and also show the full trick list, which again I did end up getting at a couple of locations. So it was a pretty fun way to gauge progress for the year.